Good morning, North Park, or whatever time of day it happens to be that you're watching this, or whoever you may happen to be that are watching this. I guess you may not be a part of North Park, but if you are or not, either way, I want to come to you today. It's been a little while since we've been able to re-engage in actual worship services, at least quite a few of us in the church building again. I haven't been doing these devotionals, but I thought it'd be helpful. At least I've heard from some people that they have missed them, so that maybe I do one a week. We'll see how it goes. Today I'm coming to you from the book of Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 4. And if you've known me for a long time, you know one of my favorite devotional habits is a proverb a day, the chapter of Proverbs every day of the month, and you kind of get to just go through on a monthly basis. There are jewels of wisdom that are so pragmatic in the book of Proverbs that, in my opinion, if you had to pick one book to apply every day to your life, man, you can't go wrong with Proverbs. So chapter 10, verse 4 reads, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." So real quick, a proverb tends to be a succinct saying, a very truncated saying, and it tends to go in either contrast or comparison in different verse lines. So comparison is things that are similar. They're compared similarly. Contrast are those things that are different. So black and white are contrast. Or if you're comparing colors, they're both colors. So comparison is similar, contrast is different. So here we have lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. So the comparison is hands. They're both hands are used in both of these. The contrast, though, are the type of hands and the results. The type of hands and the results are what's being contrasted. That's what makes the difference. Now, a lot of this is quite obvious. I would say that nobody could really argue against the point as a common sense general principle. The arguments tend to come from the idea that this is not always the case. And let me just make this point about Proverbs in general with this proverb specifically. Proverbs are not promises. They're proverbs. Proverbs are very simply statements that are generally true. So as a general principle, it's true. There may very well be exceptions. So number one, lazy hands don't always make for poverty. Not always. Just 99.9% of the time. But there can be exceptions. It's a general principle, not a promise from God that he's going to uphold miraculously. In general, lazy hands make for poverty. Now, there's other things that make for poverty as well. I'm not going to get into those today, but lazy hands make for poverty. Now, lazy is specifically being contrasted against diligent, not just hardworking, diligent hands. And there's a distinct difference between hardworking and diligent. Hardworking is very good. Diligent, though, is the steady, calm, continual, reliable, day in, day out investment in the infrastructure of your life. Diligence is what makes for wealth. Now, there's many ways in which these things are true, and I don't want to take a long time on this, but I want to highlight a couple. Number one, lazy hands don't paint the fence. Why? Well, because we can get to it some other time. We can take care of that some other day. And then the next day comes, and the next day comes, and it's still a fence. I mean, it might not be painted, it might not look great, but it's a fence and it functions, right? But when you don't paint a fence, you no longer have that barrier between the weather and the wood. And so failing to paint the fence means your fence rots, which means you have to then replace the fence or have no fence. Now, this is not just true of fences and painting. This is true in all sorts of things. So lazy hands don't string trim the weeds in the sidewalk because, but then weeds grow and weeds hold moisture and create soil. And next thing you know, your sidewalk's broken. So in so many ways, lazy hands don't do the small things. Lazy hands don't change the oil in their in vehicles on a regular basis. And so your engine freezes up on the highway and you have to replace your whole engine because you didn't replace the oil. Lazy hands don't take care of the things that you have. Now, one of my favorite little phrases I say all the time to my kiddos is that if you take care of your things will take care of you. It's just true. The oil can is mightier than the sword is another one I like to say. Taking care of the things that you have maintains them, lengthens their longevity, and enables you to not have to continually reinvest in purchasing of large items. So how do lazy hands bring poverty? You never get to move forward. You're constantly replacing and redoing, never building on a life of increasing wealth. Because you don't take care of what you already have, you can't have more, nicer, and newer and better stuff. So if you want to be wealthy, the first thing you need to learn is how to take care of the stuff that you already have. You know, that stuff that you don't like, that stuff that you wish you had better, that stuff that you wish you could replace. Learn the character traits of maintaining those things. And the next thing you know, you will be able to get the next new thing. You will be able to replace what you have with something even better and upgrade it. And here's the beautiful thing. You'll have learned the character necessary to take care of that which is more valuable and expensive then. The nice thing about this is that it's absolutely provable in your everyday life. Think about right now things that you've been putting off, small things that you thought, well, they're just little niggling things. There's no big deal to them. And realize that's lazy hands. That's lazy hands. Just every day, do something. Weed a section of your garden, or paint an area of your house that needs painted, or oil a hinge that's squeaking so you don't have to replace the hinge or the door itself. You know, just those small little things that seem innocuous but add up to poverty. Every day, just do something. And then on Sunday, go to church. Worship the Lord. Hang out with your family. Rest. But don't be lazy. Diligence is the opposite, and it brings wealth. And I've already pretty much covered it in the antithesis of laziness. Diligence is different from hard work. I know a lot of people that are very hard working, but they're not diligent. They don't handle the day in, day out constancy of life that never goes away well. When they plug in, when they jump in to do something, man, get out of their way. They work hard. They are impressive. But there's a whole lot of days that they just don't engage. Or there's a whole lot of small little aspects of their life that they just allow to slowly erode away. So, lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. Paint your fence. String trim your sidewalk. Take care of the small things, because if you take care of your things, they'll take care of you. Thank you. God bless. May he cause his face to shine upon you. May he be gracious unto you. And may he give you great grace in the midst of a world that seems upside down at times. Just put things right in your own life, one at a time. Thank you. And good morning, good afternoon, or good night.